Been looking for a reason why this pan gasket might have been leaking. I was told originally that they had possibly put in the wrong gasket in the back of the pan, but to me that doesn't look like the problem at all. Looks to me like we're getting quite a gap in between the pan and the block there, and upon taking it off, I noticed that the pan has got a very big dent in it, and right there you can see the round mark, and it looks like that is where this part of the oil pickup has been rubbing up against on the inside of the pan there, and I think that's why the pan gasket was starting to leak, because of the dent in the oil pan, and it can't seat itself down properly. That's what it looks like to me. So now I'm going to knock the dent out of the pan and give it another try. What I did here was I used a wooden block like this with a hammer. I hammered out the parts of the pan that were dented, and it looks pretty much flat there now. It doesn't look like we have anything caving in anymore. Ring there, where it actually feels like it's wore in. Now this time I'm just going to put it back on, and should be able to feel it. If it's still scrubbing good there. Dent this corner of the pan down a little bit. It looks like it's got a little bit of a high spot right in here, and straighten that out a little bit and put the gasket in, and we'll see how that goes. I took my pan and I laid it down on this flat steel table, and I just kind of looked in between the table and bottom surface of the pan, and I noticed a few spots where there was a bit of a gap in between, and so what I did was I used a hammer and just hammered it back down so it's nice and flat and straight. That's what you want to make sure you do before you put the pan back on. And I took my scraper and I scraped off all the excess gasket, and I've just been continuing to. Another thing I've noticed with older pans is that these bolt holes sometimes they get pushed up. They do actually start to bulge outward, and that squishes your gasket too much, and it causes the gasket to come apart between the bolt holes. That one you can really see how it's bowed out. And so what I do is I put a socket at the end of my vise like that, clamp it in tight enough but not too tight to break it, and then take my pan. There's bolt holes that look like they're bending outward. I put that right on top of where my socket is. I put the hole right over where my socket is. And then I just tap it down flat with my ball peen hammer. So I'm going to continue to do all of these. So I went ahead and I wiped out the whole pan after tapping these bolt holes down a little bit to level them back out. Now it's a whole lot straighter surface here than what it was before, and that should seal up a lot nicer.